Melania Trump's past is beginning to resurface, just as Donald Trump is desperately trying to bury his own. And the timing here is everything. When Donald Trump insists he met Melania in 1998, there's one simple question we must ask. What exactly was Donald Trump doing in 1998? We already know the answer. He was openly socializing with Jeffrey Epstein, attending parties, moving through elite circles, and leaving behind a photographic trail that Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have now brought back into the light. What those images reveal is not just disturbing, it's grotesque and predatory. By now, this isn't speculation, it's documented. The parties, the so-called modeling agencies, the recruitment pipelines, the abuse. This wasn't rumor, it was a system. So let's examine where Trump claims he met Melania. According to Melania herself, it happened at Manhattan's Kit Kat Club, a place she later described as glamorous, buzzing with editors and models, full of excitement and opportunity. That's the polished version. The reality? The Kit Kat Club was a grimy Manhattan nightclub, a marketplace where powerful men shopped and young women were displayed. And that's where one name enters the picture: Paolo Zampoli. Today, he's a U.S. ambassador, a Trump appointee, a respected official. Back then, he ran what he called modeling agencies operations that recruited young women from Eastern Europe and brought them to the United States. And then he threw parties. Parties where those women were introduced to rich, powerful American men. That was the business model. So on one of those nights in 1998, Donald Trump meets Melania. By her own account, he was already there with another woman. She writes about the sparks, the vibe, the moment they locked eyes. Fine, but context matters. This wasn't some fairy tale meet cute. This was a transactional ecosystem, and Trump was right at home in it. Now look at Melania's background more closely. Look at what her biography used to say before it quietly changed, before it was exposed as false. Because yes, she lied. The original story doesn't hold up. The timeline doesn't hold up. And when you line it up with what we now know about Trump's social circle, Epstein, and the people facilitating these introductions, the picture that emerges isn't glamorous. It's dark. Born on April 26, 1970 in Slovenia, Melania Canals began her modeling career at the age of 16. At the age of 18, she signed with modeling agency in Milan. Which one? What's the name of the modeling agency in Milan? Let's hear it. After obtaining a degree in design and architecture at the university in Slovenia, Melania was jetting between Fouts in Paris and Milan, finally settling in New York in 1996. Well, Melania Trump actually never earned a university degree in architecture. She dropped out of college after her freshman year, according to her biographers, but she still claims to have a degree from a university in Slovenia. And what Melania was doing around that time matters too. Because let's be honest about it, she was taking nude photos. And no, this isn't some moral judgment about nudity as art. Nude modeling can be art. That's not the point. The point is that these weren't the kind of carefully framed high-fashion editorials she later tried to sell them as. These were explicit, grimy, late 90 seconds softcore shoots. She can call them glamorous if she wants. In my opinion, they weren't. And everyone's entitled to their opinion. So that's the backdrop. Late 1,990 seconds. Trump deep in Epstein world. Zampoli running his so-called modeling agencies. Melania doing explicit shoots. And then conveniently, she meets Donald Trump in 1998. Fast forward a bit, they get married years later. But before she becomes a citizen, she gets what's known as an Einstein visa, the EB-1. Reserved for people of extraordinary ability, scientists, Nobel laureates, top-tier artists. She cuts ahead of everyone else in line. Then she gets citizenship. And then through the very process Republicans love to scream about chain migration, she brings her family to the United States. Funny how that works. And yes, there are photos. Photos of Melania and Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at parties together, smiling, hanging out. You can infer whatever you want from those images, or nothing at all, but they exist and they're part of the record. Then there's the money. While Donald Trump was out of office, the so-called billionaire who never stops telling you how rich he is, Melania's fashion stylist, makeup artists, and personal glam squad were being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, not by Trump personally, not out of his pocket, but by Trump political action committees. The same PACs funded by emails begging working-class supporters to make a personal sacrifice. Farmers, retirees, people barely scraping by. Can you help me out? Those emails say, and where does that money go? To cover Melania Trump's hair, makeup, and wardrobe. That's the pattern. Always has been. Grift up, extract from the bottom, protect the circle, rewrite the story later. Okay? So with that as background, with Donald Trump's grotesque past as background, and you saw in the Epstein files, right? The Trump condoms, you saw those photos of Trump with the young girls. Also, you saw the photos of Trump's, of other gross things with Trump. You saw on the Epstein photos, things that we didn't even know, like I shall do the Trump condoms. The Epstein photos had extreme restraints and pumps, whatever. That's what it's called. I'm just reading you. What is the audio listeners? Like that's like literally what it says right there. Yeah, gag-worthy, gross, and completely on brand. That was Donald Trump's circle back then. Epstein, Casablancas, that whole rotten crew, those were his buddies. Those were the guys he chose to spend his time with. And anyone pretending otherwise is just lying to themselves. So with that context in mind, fast forward to this week, because something genuinely strange happened, even by Trump's standards, at this Christmas party. Donald Trump starts talking about children. And when he gets to Barron, he doesn't say our son. It doesn't even say my son. He refers to Barron as her child, Melania's child, her boy. I know it's going to be great for children, Trump says, rambling as usual. Because Melania loves children, she has a wonderful boy, she's proud of her boy. That's why this moment matters. Play the clip. Well, I just heard about that for the first time. The only thing I can tell you, I know one thing for sure, Mr. Speaker. It's going to be great. It's going to be great for children. Okay? I don't know what it is she's doing, but I know it's going to be great for children because she loves children. And she's got a wonderful boy, and she's very proud of her boy, but she loves children. And if she puts it out, it'll be maybe unanimous again, or whatever that was, but very close unanimous again. I want to thank and remember this part too. When Melania was pregnant and when Barron was born, Donald Trump was allegedly carrying on affairs with multiple women. Stormy Daniels, Karen McDougal, others. This wasn't some rumor that popped up years later. This was happening right around the birth of his son. There are photos of them all in the same orbit. Trump, Melania, McDougal standing together, smiling for cameras. And once you've seen those photos, you can't unsee the dynamic. You can't unsee the tension. Go back and look at Melania's face in those moments. Not just once over and over again. Stone-faced, distant, emotionally checked out. And that's not projection. That's observable reality. There's a reason writers and observers keep pointing it out. Aaron Rupert flagged one moment in particular that really says it all. Trump is on stage rambling as usual, talking about how sad Steve Scalise's wife must have been when he got shot, and the camera cuts to Melania. Play the clip and watch her face. It tells you everything Trump never will. I went to the hospital and they actually thought he wasn't going to make it. His wife was devastated. She was crying. I tell the story. I found out that night you have a wife that loves you dearly. I know many wives would not even be crying. Your wife was absolutely a mess. She was crying. She was inconsolable, Steve. So we found that out. But he made it. And then he went, and then he went, and then he starts talking about a Republican Congress member, and he's mocking the Somalian community. I want you to watch her face right here. Play this clip. And Tom is very friendly with the Somalians, you know. He's doing a great job. He's a big fan. He's a big fan of Somalia. Anyway, he said, please correct that. Thank you, Tom, very much. Thank you. He's a great guy. He's done a fantastic job, and we really appreciate. So that brings me to Melania's Christmas book that she was reading. And here was the headline. Melania Trump mocked after struggling to read Christmas book to 6 kids. We should never mock someone for learning English ever. It's a difficult language. Immigrants struggle with it all the time, and that struggle is not a moral failing, it's human. In fact, the headline floating around, Melania Trump mocked after struggling to read Christmas book, misses the entire point. The problem is not that she struggled. The problem is who her husband is and what his administration does. Because Melania Trump has been in the United States since 1996, nearly 3 decades. And if she were any other immigrant, undocumented, overstayed, without wealth or proximity to power, Donald Trump and Caroline Leavitt would be merciless. They would weaponize that struggle. They would sneer. They would call it proof of failure to assimilate. They would turn it into a talking point on Fox News within the hour. That's the standard they apply to everyone else. And yet here she is reading a children's Christmas book to kids and visibly struggling, pausing, misreading, losing rhythm. And again, that alone is not the issue. The issue is the double standard, the cruelty they unleash on others for the exact same thing. This moment isn't about embarrassment, it's about exposure. So watch the clip not to laugh, not to sneer, but to understand how hollow the Trump narrative really is and how selectively applied their so-called values have always been. Play the clip. I see in the dark. Does he wear night vision goggles that make everyone green? Everything green? I bet he'd like that because Santa likes green. Or heat vision goggles because he might like red better. Should we leave out carrots, not cookies, on Christmas Eve since they are good for his eyesight? No. The twinkling lights on the tree will make enough light for Santa to see, tiptoeing past chairs without bumping his knee. To leave a present or 2 or 3 and get a kiss from the dog if it's a dog that leaks, and take a cookie or 2 or 3 and then leave. Santa goes up the shimmy the same way he comes down, and I have no idea how Santa does that. But I'm so glad he can, and you really can't miss the contrast if you're paying even a little attention. Look at the interview from last night with the mother of Caroline Leavitt's nephew. The Trump-Leavitt machine tried to paint her as some nameless foreigner, some Brazilian immigrant with no real connection to her own child, barely able to speak English. Just another convenient villain for the base. That whole picture falls apart the moment you actually hear her speak. She was articulate, she was composed, she was clear, she had a far better command of English, and frankly, a far stronger presence than Melania Trump ever shows in public. It wasn't close, not even remotely close. And yet, look at how she was treated. They locked her up. They questioned her legitimacy. They reduced her to a prop in a political stunt. Compare that to the way Melania is handled. Endlessly protected, endlessly polished, endlessly excused. Same country, same system, wildly different rules. One woman is treated as disposable, suspect, barely human. The other is wrapped in velvet and mythologized no matter how awkward or incoherent the performance. That's not an accident. That's the hierarchy working exactly as designed. Here, play the clip. Me some answers. What have you had a chance to talk to Caroline Leavitt? No. I mean, what would you say to her? I guess I'm still stunned by the fact that you chose her to be your son's godmother, right? You had it over your own sister, my sister. And now all of this is happening. I mean, what do you have to say to her? I think what I would have to say to Caroline is just because you went to a Catholic school doesn't make you a good Catholic. You know, you're a mother, you are a mother now, and you should know how would you feel if you were in my shoes. You know, how would you feel if somebody did this to you? Because at the end of the day, nobody's above the law. You know, it could happen to anybody. So I can't wrap my mind around it. And hopefully there's a logical explanation for all of this. I mean, this is just a picture of you. Obviously, we blurred your son's face out, but it's you and Caroline. Yes. Little pool party. Yes, I mean, and Atkinson. Yes. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. I'm trying to understand and have faith that there's some logical explanation behind any of this. But there isn't. I'm not the first. I'm surely not going to be the last. There's thousands of women and families and children being separated daily. Where does it end? When does it stop? And finally, I just want to remind you about Melania's plagiarism of Michelle Obama. just so that you can remember that at the Republican National Convention, Melania just like literally ripped off word for word. Melania lipped off word for word Michelle's speech here. Play this clip impressed with so many of the same values. That you work hard for what you want. You work hard for what you want. Your word is your bond. That your word is your bond. That you do what you say you're going to do. Promise. That you treat people. You treat people with respect, with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them, and even if you don't agree with them. And Barack and I continue to set out to build lives guided by values, and pass them on to the next generation. Because our children and all the children in this only limits of the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard and your willingness to work for them. There you have it, folks. Take it however you want. Draw your own conclusions. But I'll say this, once the Epstein files are fully out in the open, I think a lot of long ignored questions deserve serious attention. These are questions. These are opinions. First Amendment protected questions and opinions. And we should all be asking them. Every single one of us. There are threads here that have been deliberately avoided for a long time, and sunlight has a way of making people very uncomfortable. That's not a bad thing. That's accountability. As always, if you want to support the show, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see.